Welcome to another episode of Pods and Pies. Today we have Jared Olson from Lovosity.
What's up? Oh my gosh, thank you guys.
Today is sponsored by
Domino's.
Domino's.
We've actually gone through Domino's, Little Caesars,
Rock Creek?
Summit Inn, Rock Creek. What else? One other brand.
I'm excited I missed the Little Caesars one.
Dude, the Little Caesars actually
Was it
was a
good?
decent day. It was a decent.
It wasn't a hot and ready?
Oh, it was hot and ready.
Oh,
We got
okay.
a little hot. Well, actually, no. We made a little.
I made
Was it a
order.
special? Yeah, a special order for one of the Misty or something like that.
No, it's for the.
Anyway, we're hoping one day we just get like a local pizza place just to say we'll give you one free pizza a week.
You need the pie.
We should.
They would totally do it.
They would probably do
We'll be
it.
there next. Hi.
We'll go there and just give us one pizza a week because we do a little podcast, and then they'll get like 3 views, right?
I went thin crust with pepperoni and Italian sausage,
Oh, nice.
and then regular jalapeno pepperoni.
Ooh, I'm gonna need a jalapeno to start as well. Sounds fantastic. You guys, I love this idea, by the way. This is a fantastic
Yeah.
podcast.
So, I mean, I kind of give you a rundown of the pods, right? I mean, but again, I mean, this was actually an old pod that we kind of had an idea to do this. So we had a warehouse in our old office, and as a kind of a trial, as a test, we brought in pods and we built out some offices, and we're like, okay, we know it'll work.
Right.
And this was one of the original ones, and there never was really anything. It was kind of more of a conference room little thing, but I don't know, so it's vacant. That's why we would like doing the podcast and the little shipping containers and pods, right? But
That's perfect. And then the ASMR people probably love it as well. We just chew in the microphone and this guy listens to
absolutely.
it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, don't be afraid to eat. Like, I want to hear like chewing.
Well, have you guys have you
swallowing.
followed this ASMR stuff that's out there?
No.
So it's like a fetish for some people. And they just listen to YouTube and to audio clips of people chewing ice or
No.
popcorn and weird sounds.
Really?
You're gonna watch some little documentary and you can actually go have an ASMR experience and you lay on like a massage table. People come in the room and they just make weird sounds around you and it has like a cult following. It's pretty creepy. Not a fan myself,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
know some people definitely love it.
You chew
YouTube has
extra
got some
loud for
bars,
most people.
yeah.
Then.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll hook them up.
Yeah. So give us the rundown. Where you're from, where you grew up.
Nice.
Give us all that.
So I grew up in Taylorsville, Utah. So I'm a
Yes.
warrior.
Went to Taylorsville. What year?
Graduated in '03.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Same year. I was 03.
Oh no, wait, where at?
I went to Alta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we, probably saw each other in passing at some
Somewhere.
point.
Yeah.
Some kind of way.
I was graduated in '95
Uh-huh.
from Mountain View High School, Orem.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So grew up in Taylorsville. Met my wife in junior high. We were 14. And we dated on and off throughout all high school. We probably broke up, 150 plus times.
Right. Yes.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. And then I served a mission in San Jose, California, when Spanish speaking.
Okay.
And came back and resumed dating my wife. She had a couple serious boyfriends while I was gone. And we dated for another year and a half before we got married. And once we got married, we lived in Cottonwood Heights for a year, and then we've been in South Jordan ever since. And
Okay.
we now have 3 boys. I've got an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
Oh man.
I'm sure you're just busy as
It's awesome.
can be with.
I love it.
So and then where'd you go to school after high school? Did you-
Yeah, so after high
where'd you
school,
go to school?
I got my associates at Slick, undergrad at the U in speech communications, mainly because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew you needed to talk, right? So communications,
Yeah.
and it was like a fast program. And so I worked full time and went to school full time. I'd take 16 credit hours and hold down a 40-hour job. And then I went and got my master's from the University of Phoenix.
Okay.
And Phoenix gets some crap, but it was the best school I've ever had. It was incredible because the professors, like at the U, I had a lot of student teachers. And so
Oh, really?
they had no real experience, and I had one teacher who would give extra credit if you went to the local farmer's market just because he liked the farmer's market. It had nothing to do with the class.
Yeah. Like a math class. Hey, here's an extra
Yeah,
credit.
exactly. Go to
Go
the farmer's
visit the
market, take a
farmer's
picture, and show us. It was
Yeah.
weird. And that's kind of how, like, I don't know if I learned a terrible lot at the U. And nothing against the U, but I think it was just like the program compared to University of Phoenix, where it's real working professionals that just finished, you know, a long day, and we'd get together and we'd talk about what they did at work that day. And my stats class was download this add-on in Excel, plug in your numbers, and there's your answer. Like, why in the world would you ever get a piece of paper and a pencil and like figure out the theory behind statistics? Like, no practical application. So I love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm a Utah guy. I have one sibling, and it is a super smart sister. So I didn't do like sports or anything like that in high school. I wasn't good enough and didn't have a name to follow. You know, it wasn't like in my blood.
Did
But it
you
was
always
fun.
want to get a master's? I mean, was
Yeah.
that something like, okay, I know for a fact I'll finish undergrad, and then did you go straight to
Straight.
University of Phoenix?
I
Just
think-
straight in, and you're like, oh, I need an MBA.
My last class at the U was on Friday, and I started the master's on Monday. Like, no stop, just get it done.
You know, was that something? I'm just kind of curious, just always interested
Yeah.
on the MBA side, because I don't have an MBA. I've always, I've always been on the cusp of just pulling the trigger, and going and getting it.
Yeah.
I don't think I need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't think I needed it even 10 years ago, but that was just for me. But I was just curious, kind of, in your profession, or like when you were in school, did you feel like, okay, I better have an MBA just to at least separate myself,
Yeah.
or what was the kind of mindset?
Two reasons. First and primary thought was I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, right? And communications I knew wasn't it, and I knew that some kind of element of business was. And that's why I thought, all right, I'm going to get an MBA here, get exposed to a lot of different aspects of the profession, and that should help me decide what I want to do. And in every class, regardless of what it was, we'd always get to kind of the root cause of the business issues, and it always came down to people. And when you peel back, you know, the onion layers, it was always people-centric, culture-focused, and I love that. That's what really got my attention, which is kind of what solidified that this world of people operations is where I wanted to be, and focus on employee experience and human connection and company culture. So that was the first reason, was what do I want to do with my life? Let's go figure out by exploring a lot of different things. The other thing I'd also say is I've always loved learning, and so I was excited about continuing to go. But the second thing is I give a lot of advice to upcoming, you know, job seekers, and I think you got to check all the boxes. You never know where you're going to get. I mean, you're a business owner,
Yeah.
and so like, do you need a master's? No, right? Like, your next job is probably going to be another entrepreneurial endeavor. And so, why go get it? Probably not going to help you too much. But if you don't know what you're going to do with your life, never give a reason for someone not to hire you because you can't check a dumb box. Check it. Like, get your master's. An HR professional, you know, get certified. So, like, get your SPHR. I have my SPHR and my SHRM SCP. And, like, why? So I can just check the box. I don't ever want someone to say, well, we don't know because he didn't do this. Like,
Right.
do all of it so you just don't have to worry about it.
Do you think you'd be where you're at right now in your career without it?
I don't think so, because I think it really solidified what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think I could have had a curveball come at me after my bachelor's and said, go try this, and I'd be like, great, I'm going to go try that. So I do think that it's helped me, because it helped me find love and passion, probably more than anything. But I will say I'm dying to go back and get my doctorate.
Really?
Like, I,
Oh, that's cool.
I
Yeah.
really want to go. I have missed it. I mean, I graduated my master's in 2011, and I need to go. Like, I want to go back, but I also don't want to invest the time in. They're crazy expensive. Now, I do believe a doctorate is something you do not have to have. I think it's not necessary, but it's just a passion. I miss learning. I really want to dive into a crazy dissertation and just lose myself in it for a couple of years.
Yeah. Would you go by Dr. Olson?
Oh, of course.
For sure.
Like, everybody, no, not at all. That'd be super uncomfortable, but
Would you ever see yourself teaching, like college,
I
university?
have, yeah. I've done some side teaching, just
Yeah.
you know, for DeVry University, and I've built some curriculum for Argosy and for some others. So
Oh, yeah.
I built out like their HR program. So if you go to Argosy University and get the HR degree, you can actually test out of the class in their master's program, and I helped write that test.
Oh, that's way cool.
Yeah.
Dang.
So I do like teaching. I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, it fits really well with like the training world and space, and I like just having discussions with people and really helping them challenge the status quo. And like, HR as a profession needs tons of challenge right now. So, leading upcoming experts to think differently is just way fun and exciting. So I miss school. I want to go back. Not right now. Sometime. It'll happen.
Kids get a little older.
Maybe. Yeah. Honestly, I just want to come here and pay for it. So
Yeah.
if
Wink,
Motivosity-
wink,
yeah.
Motivosity.
Yeah, if Motivosity come in and say,
Wink,
"Hey,
nudge,
I want to pay for your doctor," I'd be like, "Great, let's go."
Done.
It's a great retention tool for your program. So
Yeah.
I lock somebody up. Be cool. The other thing I want to do on my bucket list is to write a book. Another must do during my career. So those are the two things career wise.
What kind of book?
So I've got a 50-page outline right now for a book called Cultural Disruption, and wanted to talk about how to really challenge the status quo and think outside the box when it comes to your employee experience and connecting with people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can never write a book.
If you had to write a book, what would you write a book about?
Pizza.
Dude,
Pods and pies.
There
I
you go.
think I would write a book about. Crap, I don't know how to say it.
CrossFit and business.
No.
Look at those
No, I
guys.
don't. I would never write about business. I would never write about working out. I would never. It would be more.
Why
I
not
just feel like
business?
I would write a book about like everybody else has said the same thing, and I feel like maybe I would try to say it different, but it wouldn't probably be very cool. But I don't know. Don't want to do it. Maybe be more like fly fishing. I grew up fly fishing.
Nice.
And maybe some like a little book like that.
Yeah, I would.
What about, are you guys religious?
Yeah.
Would you write a religious book?
No. Never.
Mine would be partial.
See,
Mine would be- my real answer. I would write like my story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Pretty
right.
awesome.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think if I wrote a religious book, like I served a mission in Ecuador,
Okay.
and geez, I got back in 1999, December '98, right before New Year, right before Christmas. But yeah, I think if I ended up writing a religious book, it probably would be frowned upon. Just because I love disrupting church.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the reasons I love going every week.
You do.
Is I just love, I love making people a little uncomfortable and making them try to think a little bit. And so my book would have to be something like
Okay,
that. If
so
it was religious.
So can we go down this?
I'll go right down.
Let's go down this rabbit hole.
So I've got two examples. One I'll share, and then one question to
Yeah.
pose. So I teach the youth in our church, and then I also teach the elders quorum, right? Group of men.
You got both.
I got both.
Good for you.
Double duty. I like it though. It's fun. And so when I was teaching the men, they came and said, "Hey, what do you want to talk about?" And I said, "I want to talk about what do you do when your spouse or children start to leave the faith, and like how do you manage that? One, in your marriage. Two, with as a parent, and three, like how would you respond to that with people that go to your congregation? Like these are people we know. Do you start frowning upon them? Do you put your arms around them?" And the person over the elders quorum was like, are you sure you want to do that? I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, why? Not because I'm struggling with that or my wife is, but I think that it's going to be a new normal. I think we're going to see a lot of people slowly fall away from church. I think that's way true during COVID right now because people aren't going.
This is gonna be easy. This is gonna be an easy step off point.
Easy,
right here.
yeah, so
Yeah,
simple.
we're not going. I'm not coming back.
So simple. So we did a survey for our church recently, and they said who wants to come back, and it was like half of the people. I think it's an easy time for people to fall away, and so the question is, what are you going to do when it's your next door neighbor, or if it's your kid, or whoever it is? And we had a most amazing conversation. It ended up taking 2 Sundays. We couldn't finish it in one, and everybody loved it. And like those are the kind of discussions that I like to have at church.
Well, and those are the discussions that, for some reason, I don't know why some leaders they just feel uncomfortable. It's like they don't want to have difficult conversations in church.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, where do you want to have it? I don't see 90% of these people through the week, even throughout the year.
Yeah.
But I see them every week. So the only place that I can have the conversation that might be uncomfortable and difficult is, during a Sunday school, setting. And if you don't have it there, you're never going to have it,
Yeah.
and you're never going to get to understanding, and you're never going to get to some type of teaching moment to help certain people, because there are certain people that are just they're assholes and they're idiots, and they're going to treat people poorly because they just it's not even necessarily falling away necessarily. It's just they're just choosing, like taking a break or
Yeah.
maybe something different. No, hey, I'm done. I never was in it anyway. Whatever. And then next thing you know, they don't even know how to talk to a neighbor
Yeah.
because they are so socially weird.
Yeah.
They don't think they are, but then they're just so uncomfortable. But those are just kind of those are fun to have.
Okay, so here's
And
my
they're
question.
they're fun to have at work.
Mhm.
I mean, they are. Like if you're in a work setting where you can have those conversations of what you really, because there's a lot of things in common with people in Utah.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, religious, but there's a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
If you can balance even a workplace conversation with that, I mean, it's a good setting to have.
For sure. Okay, so here's my question. I was recently asked to pick a topic, and the topic I picked was a book by Mo Gadat, and it's called Solve for Happy.
Salt?
Solve
Solve.
for Happy.
Solve
He
for
was
Happy.
the chief experience officer, something like that, at Google for a while, and at Google Labs. So they're supposed to come up with these crazy ideas. And his son tragically passed away, and he was left trying to figure out happiness. But he's a software developer by trade, so he created this algorithm to create happiness. And one of the things that he found is that we are by default happy. If you look at a newborn, right, they get unhappy when unhappiness comes upon them. Like, you have a poopy diaper. You change the diaper, the kid is defaulted back to happy. If they're hungry and you feed them, they're back to happy. So we are always happy. We just put things in our lives that create unhappiness. So I'm like, I want to talk about Solve for Happy. And then the question was, well, is it a church book? I'm like, no, it's not a church book, but it's so applicable to religious perspective and everything else. And so then this debacle happened without me knowing, where this group of people got together, they were talking about do we allow Jared to talk about this or not? And I was like, whoa guys, slow down. I just want to talk about happiness. That's okay. And so I found a talk from, a church leader that tied in, and I was like, let's call it this, but I still wove in all the principles I wanted. So what's your take? Do you think you should only be able to talk about religious things that come from religious leaders, or can it be anyone?
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
Absolutely not.
We're brothers.
And it's just it's kind of this. It's tough. I don't even know. I mean, is there certain direction and discussion from individuals that are just volunteering their time to lead a ward or these areas, and they I don't know. They sometimes just get caught up in crap, dude. I'm responsible if this happens, but
So I think
they're way too uptight about some of that, and they just need to. They're worried about one person getting upset.
Yeah.
And if you do that, even in life, you're host.
Yeah.
If you're worried about just only one, you gotta make sure everybody's happy. Everybody's gotta be happy. That just doesn't work.
All right, so Danny, what's the translation to business then? And to HR. We all talk to HR people all the time. They're so focused on the do's and the don'ts, and here we are coming into a church setting and saying, hey, what if we don't care about the do's and the don'ts and we talk about what matters? I think that's where HR gets into trouble, is that we're so quick to say, well, the employment law says you have to do this.
Yeah.
And we need to change that paradigm. How do we get HR people to do it?
That's what you do, right?
That's what I do. What do you think?
That's a good question, man. I mean, that's tough because I would think as an HR representative, you have to have the company in the back of your mind, right? But also at the same time, you have to have that person. Who comes first? Am I protecting the company? Am I protecting the employee? I think that's probably a really fine line to walk for HR individuals. It's okay.
It is, and the diversity.
How do I do both without getting in trouble, or that's a fine line to walk.
This could be inaccurate. But my hunch is, let's say 50 years ago, if you look up, you have 100 employees. The diversity of those 100 employees was, very narrow.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, most are going to be the same, and they just kind of conform, and anyway. And over the years, I mean, they just broaden and broaden and broaden the diversity. And so HR is just getting, it's harder and harder, not necessarily a bad way, but harder and harder to actually, I shouldn't say make everybody happy, but it's just making sure everything's going okay. How are you being treated? The diversity, that gap makes it so hard for HR.
I think they're
And-
raised
and
that way. I think they're brought up through the profession saying they have to care
And
about
you're
that.
talking
And
HR directors are brought up like through the profession
yeah.
like that
If you
way.
get your SHRM certification, then you're going to be focusing on the do's and the don'ts and all that type of stuff. And I mean, I'm curious about this kind of from a VicTig perspective as well, because yeah, someone may have a felony, but how do you still see who they are as an individual?
Yeah.
And how does a background check not scare you from the potential of an individual? And I mean, there's a lot of conversation around that right now with Black Lives Matters, and,
Yeah.
and those that are incarcerated, the percentage of them that are black is more systemic than it is maybe necessarily a bad decision they made. And does that scare HR away? Yes,
Yeah.
because of background
And-
check. So how do you focus
yeah.
on opportunity cost?
Well, so the one thing that, I know this word, at least in our industry, it gets thrown around a lot when you're talking about compliance, is individualized assessment. You need, and to say, assess everybody individually, talk to them. So for example, if you had a felony 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, whatever, the reason why the EEOC comes out with some of these guidelines is so that you can have a conversation. You can sit down with the person and say, okay, tell me what happened. You know, when you committed this crime, what happened? And if you spend the time to actually listen, you know, maybe on a certain level love that person, right? Then it's easier to make a hiring decision based off of the history, because it could be a great story, and it's just wrong place at the wrong time. Of course, it could be a total douchebag that is just it commits the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You know, but you got to figure it out. But that's the one thing. Maybe I don't know. Maybe a lot of people don't spend the time. You know, it's like, I mean, they're so busy. They're overworked. I don't know if you think they're overworked. A lot of HR people, we always kind of think, dang, dude, HR, you're just overworked. You're underappreciated in a lot of companies. And I don't know, you know, maybe not like overall, but I definitely have seen the underappreciated, overworked HR professional. But they just don't have the time to actually sit down and like talk to somebody and say, okay, I know you have this, but we'd love to hire you, love you, have you here, but.
Now, what difference would it make if you made time? Like, this is opportunity cost, right?
Yeah.
Is it about following your tactical HR work, or is it about genuinely connecting with one individual to another? Now, imagine we get a convicted felon that comes in, and we just show them a crazy amount of love, and we validate them. And the word I like to use is to behold, right? Going
Yeah.
back gospel. How do we behold someone for who they are, the good, the bad, the ugly? And if they feel beheld for the first time in their life, what are they going to do for employment? What are they going to do for work? How are they going to improve your productivity and help you generate more revenue?
They're probably going to feel even more committed to the job and to the company,
Yes.
because it's like, these guys actually love me.
I would say HR
Yeah.
doesn't have a choice. You have to make that a priority to connect with people. I envision a day, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this as well from the background check side. I envision a day where there's no resumes, there's no job descriptions, and potentially no background checks. Like, because we are just interacting with one human to another and getting to know them. I don't like standard interview questions because I want to just have a dialogue. I want
Yeah.
to know who you are. And once I know who you are, I'm like, you're perfect for this. And I see you, you see us as a company, and me individually. And so, like, let's build something together. And also acknowledge that it's probably gonna last for 3 years. Like, why are so many companies afraid of turnover? Like, embrace it. We're the place that's a catalyst for your career. After 3 years, you're gonna go somewhere else and crush it. After 3 years, you're gonna go somewhere else. Like, that's average retention right now.
You think, I mean, they're scared of turnover because they don't keep employees long.
And because they don't have these conversations.
And so when you don't keep them long, that sucks. It does. Turnover sucks. I mean, it just always having to talk to people, always having to hire people. Like, you just don't retain.
And if you're not always talking to people, what are you doing, HR friends?
And I don't know if I can see a world, people really accepting, like, not doing any type of due diligence background check.
Do
wise.
all of it. Don't do it on a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point. But that's tough. That's weird that you say that, because even my own mind, it's so hard for me to even comprehend what you just said.
Yeah.
Even from my side of the table.
And I think that's where HR needs to do a better job, right? And we need to have more conversation around seeing people, having difficult conversations, and acknowledging the data. The data says in the US we retain people for 3 years. So what's your proactive approach to find new people? And so here's an idea. I think that talent acquisition is a profit generating division. I think that when somebody is unhappy and starting to look for a new job in our company, for any reason, not that we're a bad employer, but maybe they just need a change of scenery. I need a change of scenery and new challenges every couple of years. That doesn't mean anything bad about my employer. What if talent acquisition stepped in and said, hey, I'm gonna help you find your next gig. What do you want? You wanna go to a startup company? You wanna go to a big enterprise company that's super stable? Like, what do you want? I'll help you find it, and then when they help me find it, they get a placement fee. They can sell my employee file, they can sell my background check information, they can sell everything. If I'm a software developer, the big question is what's your code look like? Well, let them see your code before they hire you, and then get paid a little bit of money for that. You know your succession plan, and then you're constantly proactively talking to new candidates to find out who are you, who would be a good fit. I can tell you today, I know the next person I'm gonna hire on my team. And I know it based off of the level of the role. If I'm bringing on a really senior person, I know who it is. If it's a junior person, I know who it is today. And we should know that. Talent acquisition and HR should know that for the entire company. Any role that could potentially come up, who's the next person? We've gone through the due diligence, we've discussed compensation, and it ended with the second I have an open position, I'm gonna give you a call. I'm gonna tell you. Now what that does is it lowers your time to hire. One company I had a time to hire of 54 days and I lowered it to 12. Just because of that process. It saved us over $14,000 per new hire. And it's because you talk about people and
Right.
to people and you connect. And I'm not worried about payroll because I have an HRIS system that processes payroll, right? Or I can outsource that to someone else so I can do what really matters and makes a difference. And that's finding, keeping great people and actually seeing them for who they are. I've been through a lot of disciplinary coaching with employees who, you know, a manager comes in and says, I want to fire this person. And I say, well, let's look into what's going on and what have you talked with them about? And we sit down and have a genuine conversation, realize their upbringing and who they are as a person, totally change the way we approach them, and they become top performers. And it's just because people want to be validated and cared about and seen and beheld. That's what we need to be doing as a professional.
I love using that word beheld.
Yeah.
Transitioning that word from kind of a religious
Have you seen that
meaning
change?
to employee. No, yeah.
Have you seen that change? Like
Yes.
when you started, like what was your first HR career?
So my first role was at a construction company, and I started doing sales. But because I could speak Spanish, I was translating a lot of hiring and benefit meetings and stuff like that. And I said, "This is way better than sales. Can I do it?" And they said, "Give it a shot." So I kind of taught myself that in a construction world, and yeah, I was making it up, right? I was like, you can do this, you can't do that. I also did safety and compliance. Like I go on job sites and make sure that their safety rails were at the right heights. And I was very in that mindset. And then I stopped and just questioned. And I think that's a skill that really is missing, is the ability to just question the status quo and say, yeah, a new employment law came out that says we're supposed to do this, but what's the opportunity cost? Like, is this going to be good or bad for my business? And I think that's why CFOs and COOs really struggle with the head of HR, because they're like, this just makes a ton of sense. Prime example, Motivasti is a recognition software, right? We just appreciate people. We look for good in others and celebrate that publicly and privately. And one employee at a local company, that's not a Motivasti client yet, we'll get them, said, hey, I want to go and share a post online about some of my colleagues and why they're great. I just want to spread some love about the people I work with. And HR came in and said, well, according to our social media policy, you can't represent the company and share anything online. And his employee's like, wait a second, I just want to talk about how great someone is. I want to say thank you on LinkedIn and Facebook. And the company's like, you can't do that. Why? Because they're so focused on the do's and the don'ts. They're not focused on the opportunity cost.
What you should do.
What will this mean for a random employee to get appreciated from a peer? Will it deepen their connection? Will it send a message to the rest of the company what positive behavior looks like in job functions? Will it send a message to a potential candidate of that's the kind of employer I want to work at because they look for the good in others? Like they missed a huge opportunity because they're so focused on some dumb social media policy.
And why would in your opinion though, why would a company come up with even a policy like that? What's the genesis? Like here's a law, let's translate it this way, let's interpret it this way, okay, now, we're gonna come up with this policy.
So,
I mean, I just don't, that seems it seems strange, but I mean, I don't know, I mean, our company's only 30 employees, I don't know how it'd be if we're 300 or 3,000, but it just.
I think that there's a balance, and I think I could definitely offend a lot of my HR friends, so please don't take it that way. Just know that this is the way my brain works. I think it's the upbringing. I personally really disagree with what you said earlier of HR is just overworked. One of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I know you're slammed right now. I'm like, how do you know I'm slammed right now? And like, you're coming to me with a need, which means you're my priority right now. So like, I'm not too busy for people that come to me. I'm not too busy to network. I'm not too busy to help. I'm here for you, right? So I disagree with that statement, and I also disagree that HR should be brought up through the formal education system because they're taught these things. They're taught the history of the first lawsuit that happened that had to do with discrimination in the workplace. And so it's fear. They're just managed by fear. And they don't stop and say, but if we lose a lawsuit, or if we lose an employee because of this, are we still okay? And are we better off because we stood to our values and to our laurels?
So where does this change?
With us,
Because is this,
right now.
I'm saying you go and get your SHRM certification, like you're learning they're teaching you do's and don'ts.
Yes.
Like, do you see it changing within SHRM? Like,
No.
No.
And I
So
don't see it
people are
changing
getting
within
their
formal education either. I think that we need a movement of disruptors.
So what HR people need a SHRM designation, do you think?
To check the box, yes.
Check the box. But I mean, to go where you want to take HR and where you see it going, they wouldn't need
I think
that
you
box
need the
checked.
awareness. I think you need to be able to know the history to be able to speak to it, right? If I'm going to go to a CFO, and the CFO is, what if not a CFO, a chief legal officer, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of HR reports to them, they're going to say, well, what about this law in this county? Well, you need to be able to be intelligent and know what that is, and then weigh the pros and the cons of the opportunity cost. And speak to it. So I think you need the background. In most cases, like SPA or the PHR focuses really heavily on unions. And the one thing I learned about unions is I never want to work with them. And then the second thing I learned is as soon as I finished the test, it all went out my head. I forgot it immediately because I just know myself well enough. I don't want to be in that environment. It's just too do's and don'ts, right? So like it doesn't fit my personality type. So it needs. If you need the awareness, you got to go through it, but the real change happens with the way that we think and the way that we act. And educating business owners, what can HR do? Like, that's a big challenge. I noticed even within the Silicon Slopes, like as I have been out interviewing for jobs, I kind of scare a lot of people because they say, tell us about HR. And I don't talk about process. I talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait a second.
Wait a
I need someone to process
Yeah,
payroll.
I need do's and don'ts. Jared.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
And I'm like, I'll hire that out and I'll actually help the business succeed, right? And so it's a lack of awareness, it's a poor history of what we've been doing, and we're seeing a lot of people make positive impacts. Several of them have been on this podcast already. I love what Carl Soki is talking about with Human Connection as well, and Elisa Garn, and like that type of stuff is spot on. But we have to start the conversation, and to be honest, it can start with you guys. We talk about employee benefits, like let's talk total rewards compensation and strategy for a little bit. Is it just 401k and medical? Or is it a philosophy about your culture and your values and recognizing people and validating and leadership development? That's total rewards in my mind.
Right.
And when you think about background checks, like, is there a day where we don't have background checks? And if not, how do we get there? Because we're beholding people instead of being so concerned about something they did when they were a kid and dumb. And every HR person when they get their background screen is always like, well, wait, what was that cutoff? Like, can I consider this or can I not consider this? And so, like, how do we change that? And we all have a part to play in that as vendors and as, people who work with the HR industry.
Right.
Well,
This is a great conversation, by the way.
Oh, okay, good. You never know, right? You never know. how
This
this
is
is gonna be.
great. This is great. I'm going to switch gears, though.
Okay, let's go.
This is great. Okay, so actually, last question. So you started in construction. What was after that? I saw maybe JCPenney for a little bit.
So went to Larry. So I taught myself HR for a year, went to Larry H. Miller and managed 12 HR people. That was scary.
Okay.
And then I went to another construction company and built a national federal construction company HR program. And then I went to JCPenney, and then I went to the fourth fastest growing company in Utah at that time and did operations and kind of built the business for them.
Okay.
And now I'm in Motivosity.
Okay. So at Motivosity, head of
Customer success.
right?
So when I initially got a text and then they said, "You want to do CS?" I said, "No, like I'm not a CS guy. I'm an HR guy." But we sell our product to HR professionals throughout the world. So it's really like the easiest consulting gig of all time because I just get to pull up data set and look in their employee experience and talk to the heads of HR and say, here's what I would do if I were you and why appreciation matters and how to develop your leadership development and all that stuff. So it's all HR all day. It's all these type of conversations and trying to advance our profession to become better.
So are these clients calling you with problems? Or are you just checking in like, hey, I was doing like,
more
here's
of
some
that.
advice that I would give, but nobody's really commenting, Jared, I have a real big problem, like.
More of that. You guys are all, I would say you're probably, all of us are in the same boat because we all are vendors for HR people and typically they don't hear from us until the next open enrollment meeting or until the next license renewal comes up, right? And so I think that's also a huge missed opportunity and that's where we need more people, kind of like what my role is to provide constant value. And not just constant value in the world of, hey, here's a new employment law update that impacts your benefit offering, but somebody who actually is helping make sense of it and speak to the data for that organization and strategizing with their leadership team. And so I'm the in-between value add so that when it comes up for their renewal, they're, heck yes, we're renewing. Like there's no question in their mind.
Gotcha. So you are I'm going to say you're a networking guru.
I like talking to people.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Give me your top 3 networking events that you either have created, been a part of, been to.
Too easy. Number 1, pickleball networking.
That's a great event.
It is the best event, right? Because pickleball is fantastic, and
how do you manage the dudes or gals that go there that sweat so bad that they have to like bring 3 t-shirts just so they're not embarrassed?
You give them a big hug.
Okay, I'm one of those guys, like if I went pickleball, I don't care if it's in the morning or I need 2 t-shirts.
That's great. No, that's awesome. So here's my problem with networking, right? I don't like how formal it is. I don't like that when you go to a traditional networking thing, you got to dress up and have your name tag, have your name tag, and
so
you have
awkward.
your best performance the whole time, and you think I can't look at my cell phone because the speaker might look at me and realize that I'm not paying attention. Like, it's the worst, right? And everybody's afraid, and you have to go back and do this really long report to your manager of what you learned just so that they know that you pay attention. It sucks. Pickleball is perfect because you don't have to say a word. If you're an introvert, you can go out and you can play with 3 other people on a court, never speak the entire time, and be totally engaged. If you're super extroverted, not only can you talk to the people at your court, you can talk to everyone that's playing in the whole area, right? Neighboring courts and everything else. You can switch teams up, and if you show up in high heels and a dress, then you still can play pickleball. Like you can show up in athletic gear and you can break a sweat and go through 3 t-shirts and play probably just as good as the people in high heels. Like it's an equal sport. It changes the scenery and there's nothing formal about it. And pickleball networking is amazing.
Was that your idea?
Yes.
Love it.
I love it.
Alright.
The second networking group that I'd say to get involved with is Disrupt SLC. So if you're in the HR profession, everybody knows SHRM. A lady named Jennifer McClure started Disrupt HR. It follows the same model. So they're 5-minute speakers, and they
TED
have
Talks, right?
It's like TED Talks. They have 20 slides that auto-rotate every 15 seconds. It's not to have a lecture. It's to have 5 minutes to share an idea people have never heard of. So if there's something we've talked about here today that our listeners have never heard of, like let's spend 5 minutes on that. That would be a Disrupt HR talk, right? Right. 20 points. They're going to go real fast. 5 minutes. Great event. Very different from the traditional SHRM type thing, and a lot of fun. The third best kind of networking, in my opinion, I'm just going to call them failed networking events. Because I go to a lot of events where, not a lot, but some, where not a lot of people show up. And all of a sudden you get 5 or 6 people that go around a table and pull out some pizza and just start talking. They don't have an agenda to follow. They're like, well, we were supposed to talk about this, but tell me your story, and we just go around in a circle and we get to know each other. I love those. That's why I like to individually network with people, and when I network with them, I don't ever talk about Motivosity. I try to not talk about me. I just want to hear their story, get to know them. And if they like it, then we can do it again and I'll share my story. But I just like learning about people, and informal or crappy networking events where it leads to that are the best.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Also give you guys props for this. Also shout out Justin Severson, who does Sour Chatter. Yeah, that's a really fun idea, totally
What's that?
different. You sit in his truck for 5-10 minutes and he gives you a bunch of warheads and asks you questions.
Chowder.
And so you
Oh, that's so he like kind of interviews people with
with
like,
just warheads.
Like warheads. Oh my gosh, that's cool.
It's awesome. We need more creative ideas like this. If anybody wants to start, like I get a lot of people come to me and say, hey, you should start this networking thing. And I always say, why don't you? Like, I'm passionate about pickleball, and I'm passionate about talking to people about their stories. If you guys like pizza, this is it. If you like warheads, it's Sour Chatter. Like, pick your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I have my big, hairy, audacious goal is that Silicon Slopes is no longer held at the Salt Palace. You can go see Aaron Sconard at Pickleball, and you can go see Ruswana at K1 Speed, and you can go see different people in different informal settings where you don't dress up and where you're really casual and where you just get to know them. Like, that's the best kind of networking.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Well, we have about 10 minutes here before you gotta go.
Yeah, time flies.
Likewise. We always end all of our interviews with some
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not looking forward to this.
some would you rather questions.
Yeah, these.
Would you rather?
I love Would You Rather. I play with my kid all the time, but you guys are like brutal.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully we got some good ones today.
Yeah.
I think you went a little easy last time we did the Would You Rathers.
You think so?
I think you did. I think you need to push the edge a little bit. I don't.
The tough thing is finding that edge, that line.
Is
Because I don't want people to get offended.
You need to be a little crude.
But I want
Slice of crass.
Yours have like pain in them.
You need
I got
to
some
be.
pain here for you.
So
You
here's
gotta shock them a little bit sometimes. It's like, dude, crap. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Can we actually post something like that?
All right, I'm gonna ask mine. Can I ask mine?
Oh, I love
Okay, both of you. This is my wife's. Okay, this is a good one.
it. Okay.
Because we do this with our kids. We're doing it this weekend. Would you rather have a tail on your head or a tail sticking out of your belly button,
What kind of a tail?
like a dog tail?
A dog tail.
Belly
Wagging
button.
dog tail.
Belly button.
Head?
Like where in the head though?
See,
Forehead,
that's the
back
question.
of the head, top of the head.
If it's back of the head, I think head's obvious because you curl your hair and do like a ponytail.
Oh,
yeah,
But if you do in the front,
Then there's no
there's
way.
no way to hide that.
Literally be a
Yeah,
ponytail.
I think you gotta dial in where the tail is like
Yeah.
comes out of the
Let's say-
forehead. No way.
Okay, then I agree with that. I'd go belly button if it's in the front of the head.
Yeah.
You cover it up.
Absolutely.
Tape it. You can tape it. You tape it on your body, then you just get away with it.
Never taking your shirt off.
No, you're never taking your shirt off.
Never.
You can't amputate it ever.
No.
No, it's if you amputate it, it grows back in like a day. That's
And
the
your
rule.
shirt's just gonna be waggling all the time.
Yeah,
when you
you're
get
like, when
excited.
you're happy, dude. That's why you gotta tape it. Because when you're happy, they're gonna think you
So it's
got
gonna
it.
act like a dog tail too, like
Yeah, oh yeah.
you're laughing right now, I can just see it.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Okay. Would you rather have a toenail or a fingernail pulled off?
Fingernail.
Fingernail. Okay.
Done it, unfortunately. It
Not on
hurts,
purpose.
but toenail I think would be worse.
Okay. Would you rather begin every sentence with "Hey idiot," or end every sentence with "Ha"? I was just kidding.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
That'd be good though.
Ha.
Oh, I
It's
gotta
like
do
it's
mine.
like a nervous laugh though, you know, because if you know, just.
I'm just kidding.
Ha. Yes. All right, so we have one that we asked.
That's true. I guess we gotta start. Okay,
I forgot. We
this
gotta
is
ask that.
is sports related. You know who Tiger Woods is, right? You know who Barry Bonds is?
Yeah.
Baseball player. Okay. So would you rather take a Barry Bonds home run swing to the middle of the back, like he's behind you, he's like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, Jared, it's coming, and then you're like, all right, and then he takes his bat and he just swings as hard as he can right in the middle of the back.
Steroid era.
Steroid Barry Bonds.
He's in full swing.
Or Tiger Woods teeing off driver to the shin. And you're facing him, and he's like, all right, Jared, I'm coming. And then he takes a couple practice swings, and then he just like he's gonna drive it down the middle of the fairway, but right
See, this is
to
just
the
like-
shin.
This is a terrible question.
It is a terrible question.
I'm gonna go with Tiger Woods because I think he'll break my leg and I'm gonna have to be amputated or whatever.
Yeah.
But if Barry Bonds says it, I'm gonna be paralyzed, and
Yeah.
I'd rather have be an amputee than be paralyzed.
All right, yeah, all right.
Well, what do you
That's kind of
say?
been-
I'll take the back. I'm going Barry Bonds in
Really?
the back.
How come?
I just think I can flex, you know, I'm gonna do one of these like little
Yeah.
flexes, and then the weight of the bat, you know, the energy is gonna be distributed throughout my back, right?
Mm.
Go with me on this,
They can, a bat can break when they're swinging. I mean, I feel like
Yeah, it might
maybe
break.
over you, you
I think I'm
might
gonna,
punch
I really do think I'm gonna get a couple broken ribs, and I'm gonna fall down, maybe can't breathe, and I'm gonna stand up and say, hey, thanks. Nice to meet you, Barry. All right, I'm gonna go. Dude, Tiger Woods to the shin, you're going, I mean, there's no chance. I mean, you're going to the hospital. You're going to the
100%.
ER. You're gonna go right into surgery. I know I could get paralyzed. I understand that, but I really think I'm gonna flex.
See, I don't think I have the muscle to flex. That's probably why I would.
I don't think I do either, but I'd still take it. Would you rather have no eyebrows or no pinky fingers?
Eyebrows.
Eyebrows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like permanently, right?
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Tattoo.
So you're rolling with
Get a
you're
tat
rolling with
right
four
Be a Ninja
or
Turtle.
no.
So
Yeah,
well,
Ninja
if you
Turtle.
say Ninja Turtle, that's pretty sweet. But
Okay. Would you rather
Yeah,
have no
Ninja Turtle.
eyebrows or be like a Ninja Turtle man?
I go Ninja Turtle hand, but if it's human hand, I go eyebrows because I just get a tattoo for eyebrows.
Okay. Done.
Can you still play pickleball with 4 fingers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Would you rather wax your whole body or get a cavity worked on with no pain meds?
Wax.
Hold on.
Whole body. Or we're talking head
Head to toe.
Head to toe.
You have to wax your hair.
Well,
But can
yes,
you buzz
wax
it?
your-
What do they do for? Would they buzz it and then
I
then
think it's
wax
probably
it?
got to be a little.
'Cause they
I
can't,
don't
like,
think
just
you
dump
can
wax
go
on
the
the
top.
hair.
Yeah.
So they would buzz the head and then they
Trim
would just
it
get a
and
foot
then-
of wax.
yeah.
And then from head to toe. Or say it again.
Or one cavity worked on with no pain meds.
One cavity with no pain meds.
I don't think I can do that. I think I'd have to do the wax.
Dang.
I might have to do the wax too.
I-
I'm not sure I could do.
I could not do that. I mean, I've had sore tooth before, and like
I've had a cavity. I know. I don't like it. I don't think I could do it.
And they're so sensitive.
And if you're gonna get waxed, you're gonna go in and shave a little bit of yourself first, right? Like you can't schedule a wax appointment without me being like, I'm gonna prep for this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're gonna have to do something like I said. Because I
Yeah.
don't think they could just do your head of hair.
Sure.
It's got to be trimmed.
I'd be alright with that.
Yeah.
I'd pick that.
All right.
But I got hair on my knuckles.
It's getting waxed.
Dude, everything, that would take forever.
Have you ever
How many-
burned?
That would take like 2 days.
Have you ever burned hair off your knuckles?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. See, you prep that. You prep that.
Yeah,
and
you
you
gotta
wax,
prep it.
there's nothing there.
I waxed my nose the other day
Oh yeah.
when I got a haircut.
It's a must.
I did ears, and then I always put off the nose because I thought it would be more painful. But actually, the ears hurt worse than the nose.
Hmm.
That's
Interesting.
I don't know if that's for me. But wax your nose.
Done.
Game changer.
Would you rather you have to use eye drops every day with a base made of sriracha or toilet paper made from sandpaper?
Toilet paper. I can't touch my eyes. I like have sensitive eye. I don't know. I just can't do
So
it.
you're
When I see my wife change her contacts, I'm like, hey, I can't do this
Yeah.
right now. So I would.
Hopefully some calluses build up.
Yeah, and hopefully it's like. Have you
There's
ever
no way. There's no way. Dude, there's no way. Hold on. What's the grit of the sandpaper? You gotta be more
I don't know, I
specific.
haven't- I
Well,
haven't come up with
the
a
better
grit.
question is how messy is it? Because have you ever heard of ghost poop? You poop and you're like, where did it go?
Yeah.
And like
Hold on.
that's a one wipe done.
You're
You
done.
know they make sandpaper. It's like wet sandpaper. They use like you almost like.
Yeah.
You're not
Buff out
using, you're not
nails and stuff.
using wet sandpaper.
Okay, so this is at least something that's gonna scratch some wood.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where'd you find this? You Google these or you come up with them on your own?
We do a little bit of both.
Creepy.
Come up with something. Well, you have to. Or would you rather? You have to. Okay. Would you rather be a clown who distracts the bull or the cowboy who rides the bull?
Clown.
Clown.
Because.
Because you can jump in those little things. That little
Barrels.
protective barrels. Yeah, you jump in.
It's true.
And jump
it's
over
still
a
gonna
fence.
hurt.
And like, I'm fast. If
You're
bulls
getting
run
away.
at me,
You're getting away.
I'm gonna get away. I'll get away, alright.
I take the clown.
I'm definitely falling off if I'm on top. I know that.
Would you rather have a freakishly huge smile or a freakishly small nose?
Nose.
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 Are you sticking to it? There's
Yeah.
you're hesitant.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Well, how big are we talking here, though? I mean,
Freakishly big.
Freakishly.
the smile?
Yeah.
Bigger than like
Like,
any
you know those-
normal human.
You know those filters, like we see people and like their smiles are like, it'd be like
Or
a
a
filter
tiny
smile,
nose?
or just a little baby nose.
Dude, that's weird. I don't even know what I think, man.
That is weird.
Because it's your face. It's just like, that's the focal point of your life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tiny nose.
Maybe you never smile.
Tiny nose.
But can you explain to them, well, I have this because I didn't want the smile?
Sure, dude.
Okay, I'll take a nose.
Okay.
But they gotta know, like, I would have had this huge smile.
Think of how easier it'd be to get your nose waxed.
Yeah, dude, that's like, oh,
It's
it's,
way easier.
Or maybe it'd be worse.
because
Couldn't
it
get it
just,
up there.
yeah, there's like, yeah, that's true.
Okay. I've asked this one before, I like this one, so I'm gonna ask it again. Would you rather have the neck of a giraffe or the hands of a baby?
And this is like a 6-month-old baby.
Wow.
Yeah, so like.
And this is a
you
full-grown
doing-
giraffe.
You doing this with your drink? is
Would not
you got-
you two-handed.
You're two-handed it every time.
Two-handed in.
Or your head is higher, your head would be hitting the ceiling. And your body's right there. That's a giraffe
I
neck.
mean, I initially went to giraffe because then like that could be helpful in some cases where small hands wouldn't. But I'm gonna go with small hands.
I still, I don't think I have an answer for this one yet.
Small hands, dude, for sure. There's no way you would do a giraffe neck.
Because you couldn't fit in.
Dude, where are you doing? Like, how are you
I
driving?
know.
How are you driving?
Right out the sunroof.
Convertible?
In winter?
You can't even see
Sure.
the speedometer. You can't see anything in the car. No one's everybody's talking to you. That's it. You can't.
Baby hands.
Baby hands, dude.
Yeah.
I think you can get away with baby hands. There's no way you get away
No,
with
there's no
giraffe.
advantage of baby hand though. Like that's the trade-off.
How do you put a shirt on, dude? Your hands aren't long.
That's
How do you
true.
get? I mean, it's like you're.
It's flexible, you can, you know.
It's a
you can-
giraffe, yeah. You can
Yeah,
down.
down.
Do you get a giraffe tongue as well?
You fight other giraffes. Can you go fight other giraffes with your
Could,
giraffe
just-
neck?
Yeah.
You go to the zoo.
Alright, so this one, people know that you're doing it. Would you rather wear a push-up bra all day long? And people know, or heels all day long, every day?
Jeez. Is that Steve Carell movie about Marwin? Where he wears high heels. They know you do it. We can't hide the heels.
No, but people just know, it's like, Jared is push-up
I'm
bra.
gonna go push-up bra because like moves are a real thing, right?
Yeah.
So like maybe you just need the support and
Yeah.
and like how would you play pickleball in high heels all the time?
Yeah. No, not all the time. That's true.
Would you rather fight a horse-sized hamster or a dog-sized rhino?
Dog-sized
Like
rhino.
not the dog-sized rhino, not a huge dog.
Yeah,
Your
how big is the dog?
average, but it's still, it's a rhino, it's still tough. Like,
I go rhino.
okay.
We're
Because
talking
once
like-
again, I think I can just dodge it.
You think you could, yeah.
But it's got the horn.
It's okay. I'll dodge a horn. That's the one thing you gotta dodge. I'm like, I'm good.
Okay. Dodge a horn.
Would you rather only be able to whisper or only be able to shout?
See, this is tricky because if it's with family, whisper. Because like my love language is touch, so I just get like real close to like my family all the time. I'd be alright with that. That'd be awkward. Other places,
Can I carry like a megaphone with me everywhere? Like a microphone?
like how loud? Like just yelling all the time.
Yeah, you're shouting all the time.
That's a weird one. I think I'm gonna go with whisper.
Yeah, I'm going soft talker.
That'd be tough, yeah.
No loud talk, soft
Like,
talk.
We learn sign language.
isn't there a
Yeah,
soft
sign
talker,
language.
soft
Text
talker in
people.
Seinfeld?
I think there
Yeah,
is.
there
Yeah,
is.
she can't hear him, and then she ends up they go to dinner, and then she makes him commit to wearing the puffy shirt on
The puffy
Jay
shirt.
Leno, and that's
Yeah.
because she was a soft talker. Like she couldn't hear him, or he
That's
couldn't hear
right.
her.
That's right.
But see, if you're aware of it, you know how to get around it. And with technology nowadays,
Yeah.
you'd be alright.
You'd be good. Okay, last one. Would you rather have your breath smell like a bad fart or have your laugh sound like a fart?
Laugh, because you don't laugh as often as you breathe.
But like,
So you would avoid laughter as
like,
much
can you
as
imagine
possible.
though, like going to talk like a networking event and just opening your mouth, somebody says a hilarious joke, and you're just like,
Yeah, no, that sucks. These are all terrible questions though. Like,
Again, I think I would like the opportunity to be able to share with them that I had to choose this.
exactly.
It's like, okay, hold on. My breath stinks because I didn't want to sound like a fart every time.
yeah.
No. Oh, okay, we get it. We get it.
So what would you? So would you do breath then?
Man, I think I might do.
I'd go laugh.
I just would hate not to. I'd hate to not want to laugh ever.
Yeah.
But like, who do you laugh around?
Maybe I can socially distance enough so they just can't
Yeah.
smell my breath.
No.
You know, it's like, okay, I can separate myself so they don't think I'm farting all the time because I'm breathing.
No, but like marriage, like that ruin a marriage.
Can I do whatever I can do to try to cover up the breath?
You can try, but it's gonna smell like a fart.
Does it still
It'll be
smell?
like a minty fart.
But what kind of fart? Like, is it?
I think that you just laugh around your friends and colleagues, and you just say, "Hey, one of the weird things about me is when I laugh." Just
When I
I
laugh.
know it sounds like a fart. This is my real laugh.
Yeah, and you can fake laugh.
I mean, if the mask thing stands, you'd be good. Just have a
Yeah.
mask all the time.
That's a hard one, reader.
That's
no,
a tough one.
yeah, not a fan.
Both are awful.
Yeah, they both are awful.
That's it.
You guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this
This
has been
is
fun,
great.
fun
Great,
conversation.
great conversation. Love it.
Worst would you rather's?
Yeah, those are some good ones.
Take those home for your kids.
Yeah, right.
All right, Jared Olson, Motive Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jared.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And cut.
Got it. Print it.